To those of you who are here, welcome. My name's Carly Daniels. I'm the head of school for animal welfare management and zoology. I do further education and higher education and apprenticeships, so I see the whole breadth of animal and zoology and animal behavioural science and welfare. So I'm going to hand you over in a minute to the tutors and the subject lead for animal that only deal with HE. So they will give you a lot more information in general about coming to Moulton College, and also information about the specific courses that you have applied for. If you've got any questions, please do pop them in the chat. There's also a Q&A section at the top, so if you've got any sort of big burning posing questions that you want to ask, then please do put them in the Q&A and we'll be able to answer them. So I'm going to hand over to Mel. Hopefully you can see what I can see, which is the presentation that she shared on her screen, but please do ask any questions as we go. Over to you, Mel.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Mel Reynolds. I'm head of the HE area for the animal welfare and zoology courses. So I'm the subject lead. And really, I'll just start off this evening giving a quick sort of overview of the higher education at Moulton and the animal welfare and zoology in particular. And then we'll go into the smaller breakout rooms where tutors can go into a bit more detail on those programs. So just a little bit more about us, if my slides will move on to the next one. So in terms of the HE at Moulton, we have specialist lecturers in a range of subject areas, which include ecology, animal behaviour, biology, genetics, animal welfare as well. And all of the tutors, we've all have some industry experience and background behind us. And a number of staff have continuing in their studies or research, and there's also a number of staff who've got publications as well in terms of publishing work that they've been working on. And a few of our staff also sit on various industry-related bodies and organisations, which also just then support and inform the teaching, keeping our teaching and our modules very up to date and current with the industry. So some of the reasons to study at Moulton, one of our kind of unique areas is that we've got smaller teaching groups. So our classroom size is a theory lesson generally won't ever be more than 24 students in the classroom. And for practical sessions, we normally work on about 12 students in a practical group. So we do get to know the students, you guys as individuals, which I think a lot of our students find that is really helpful and supportive, because we get to know you during the course of your studies, and then sort of understand where your career aspirations are, and quite often we can tailor advice that we're giving to suit your particular interests, but also we might be able to tailor projects that we work on within the lectures to suit where the interests are in the student body. We also are constantly developing our courses, so we have a 4 or 5 year cycle where we have a periodic subject review. So that's just looking at, are our courses up to date? And we bring in both industry people as well as other tutors from other institutions to look at, are our programs still current? Are they still what the industry needs? Are they also still what students are looking for as well? We also are able to offer a high level of support. So we offer personal tutors, tutorial sessions to support students on their studies. And also because of our smaller group sizes, we're able to give a much more personalised support to students as well. And I have got a couple of slides that I can share later on from our HE learning support to also give you a bit more detail about the support that we have specifically for studying at Moulton. Mentioned earlier that we've also got lecturers, so everybody who teaches on the degree courses, we all have a subject specialism, so where our expertise lie, and that ensures that your teaching is delivered by tutors who are enthusiastic about the subjects, and also that's what they specialise in, that's what their kind of main focus is. We also have got a high number of students that have achieved first class degrees or 2-1s, which are together referred to as good degree classifications. So it's one of the things that we're able to kind of highlight is that our students do tend to do well, and that we have a good number of students achieving a good degree at the end of their studies with us. So this slide is just a quick overview of the courses that we are currently offering in the animal zoology area. So our partner that accredits our degrees is the University of Northampton. So when you're a student at Moulton, you are a student both of Moulton College and also of the University of Northampton. So you have access to the facilities available at the university as well. And our students are able to get involved in some of the social activities and student union activities at the university. So that you are part of a wider body of students, even though we are those small groups, that kind of very personal experience at the college itself. So the degrees that we offer, we've got the foundation degrees, which are 2-year level 5 qualification. So we've got foundation degree animal behavioural science and welfare, and then also the foundation degree in applied zoology. And then both of those programs are also available as a full BSc honours. So the BSc honours animal behavioural science and welfare, and BSc honours applied zoology. A little bit of sort of background is part of our keeping our programs current. The animal program was previously titled Applied Animal Studies, and in a recent review of that program, we've updated the program name, so it's now the Animal Behavioural Science and Welfare, and ensured that the modules on offer there are very focused to behaviour science and welfare. But we still have a few students who are on the old degree title, which is why the top-up year, so if you do a foundation degree, which is a 2-year programme, after your second year, you can stay on to do a top-up, which gives you the equivalent to the BSc honours. Currently, for September 2024, the top-up year is still known as Applied Animal Studies, but that will only be available with that title this coming intake of students. Thereafter, our first cohort of students from the Animal Behavioural Science and Welfare will be getting up to the 3rd year, the level 6 year, and therefore the top-up will then become the new name. And then we have the top-up available for the applied zoology as well. So we offer the foundation degree and the BScs, and then if you do the foundation degree, there is the option for a final top-up year, which gives you the equivalent of the BSc honours programmes. There's just a kind of quick indication of a selection of the modules that are on offer. So we have a number of research methods, study skills, modules to build your academic skills and ensure that everybody's got the skills that you require to achieve on the degree level programme. And we have a number of animal behaviour modules as well, both from 1st year, 2nd year through into the 3rd year, and animal health modules. So you can learn about health and animal and diseases and how to manage and protect animals from disease and illness. We also have anatomy physiology. It's really fundamental kind of module through all of the programs. Both animal behaviour science and welfare and the applied zoology do anatomy physiology in the 1st year and the 2nd year. In the 3rd year, the level 6 year, the animal behavioural science and welfare students go on to a further more advanced level of anatomy physiology, while the zoology students are going into more zoology focused and specific modules. We also have modules in animal ethics and law, animal welfare, and we do have a number of ecology focused modules. So everybody in the 1st year will do a principles to ecology module, which gives a good introduction to ecology. But on the zoology programme, the students can specialise and go into more detail and more depth with ecology into their 2nd and 3rd year as well. And alongside that's also modules on biodiversity and taxonomy, cladistics. So it's all about the naming of species and the classification of species, which the zoology students go into more detail. And then also both animal and zoology students do a genetics module in the first year. So you've got that understanding of genetics and breeding technologies at first year. There are a range of other modules on the programs, and when we go into the breakout rooms, Nicola will be able to go into more detail on the animal behavioural science and welfare modules, and Bex will go into more detail on the zoology modules, and you can look into more depth as to what's on offer on those different programs. In terms of assessment methods, we use a range of assessment methods. So most modules will have 2 assessment items that each have a separate weighting. Different modules will, one assessment might be 40% of the module grade, another might be 60%. Quite a lot of modules have an even split of a 50-50 split between the weightings on the assessment items. And the range of assessment methods that we use, there will be scientific reports. Some of those will be based on data collection that you do within the programme, within the course itself. Others may be more research based in terms of investigating what the literature says about that particular topic. We also do a range of presentation style assessments. So some of those include designing an academic poster and presenting that in a conference style, which we find helps build confidence for our students in presenting to a wider audience. And especially if students go on to postgraduate study, it gives you some of those skills about being able to present in a scientific conference sort of format. We also have PowerPoint presentations, so you'll kind of stand up and talk about through a PowerPoint presentation. And then we also have some oral assessments, which are on a more one-to-one basis or small group basis, where we have simulated live consultations and oral vivas, which are more of an oral discussion, which are also in the assessment types that we have. Some of our assessments for some modules will also be linked to running experiments, so doing a study and finding out what the results are, and then analysing and presenting those results. And then we also have some time-constrained assessments, which are similar to sort of class test, as well as a handful of formal exams. Not every module has a formal exam, as we find that exams don't necessarily suit every learner, and not every student suits exam style assessments, but we do still have a range of those in some of the modules where we've got a higher level of kind of theory that needs assessing in the module. We do have practical facilities, so we have got the animal unit with a range of animal species on it, which we can go into more depth on in the breakout rooms. And for that, we have got some PPE requirements that you would be required to have. So there is a local company, Backer, who are our supplier. So if you wanted to find out more about pricing, etc., I think most of the PPE items are in the range of £20 to £30 off the Backer website. Of the items that are absolutely essential, the tunics, so there's a ladies and men's style in terms of different tailoring cuts on them, and the over trousers, those are an absolute must, and also a pair of steel toe cap safety boots. So really the tunic and trousers need to come from the supplier because they've got the right colour and style, etc. The other items in that image are waterproof jackets and trousers and wellies, which are essential because if we've got rainy weather, and I think we've probably all experienced very wet, rainy conditions over the last couple of weeks, you need to have a good pair of waterproofs. While you can buy those from the supplier, you can also obviously source waterproofs from elsewhere. And then some students also like to have a animal welfare branded sweatshirt and or polo shirt. So those are also available as optional items that will be embroidered with the college logo. And as I said, you can get them branded on the back for a little bit extra to say animal welfare. I mentioned that we have a range of support available while you're studying at Moulton. This slide just gives a quick overview, and then I've got some additional detail from our HE learning support to run through shortly. So we have a dedicated HE learning support, and through that, Caroline's able to offer regular one-to-one meetings, but there are also drop-in sessions. So even if you don't have a regular slot, if you're stuck on a particular aspect, or you just wanting to double check that you're on the right track with interpreting a particular assignment brief, you can pop into one of the drop-in sessions, and you might find that just a single drop-in just helps get on top of a particular aspect. So a number of our students will use drop-in support to just double check that they're getting the academic referencings correct, and find that that's really useful in terms of building their academic skills, and therefore hopefully developing and building on your assignment grades as well. Caroline also offers support for applying for DSA funding, so that's the Disabled Student Allowance, and she also manages any of the assessments that we need to carry out for exam access arrangements. So if you have ever had extra time, readers, scribes, etc. in exams in your previous studies, it does need to go through another assessment at higher education, because the rules and regulations around support are slightly different from level 3 studies, whether that's been A-levels or diploma studies. So it is important that if you've had access arrangements before, that we can try and get those in place as soon as possible, and just double check that they are still suitable for higher education studies. We also have a dedicated HE success coach, which is Ian, and he offers mental health first aid, and also broader wellbeing support. So he offers a lot of that sort of general advice and guidance, and our students are finding that it's helpful to just have someone that they can go and have a chat to if they finding that they're struggling with something which may or may not be directly related to the course. Sometimes pressures from life outside of college, and you just need somebody to talk to, or someone to kind of give you a bit of advice of this is the right place to go and go further for help. And Ian's able to provide that and work with our students to be able to kind of give you that stronger level of support. We also, you will have a course manager and a personal tutor throughout your studies, and your personal tutor will also give you a range of support and guidance as well. But Ian, the success coach, is also available to provide that in more detail and more specific if needed. We also have a number of sort of enrichment aspects which help broaden your student experience. So there's a variety of trips to support the curriculum. So Nick might be able to fill you in on the visit to Tricross Zoo that took place today. And we have normally visit a number of zoos depending on the modules that you're studying and which year level you're at. We obviously have our own animal collection as well. So we've got our own animal unit, so you do get opportunities for hands-on practical experience there. The college is also situated on a working farm, so we have the whole of the farmland habitats to be able to do habitat surveys and some of our ecology study. We've got a number of students that are doing studies using camera traps out on the college estate, and we're really excited that we've got footage of otter on the college estate, badgers, foxes, squirrels, muntjac deer as well. It just shows the kind of diversity and biodiversity that we have in the surrounding area. And that provides a fantastic outside campus for us to be able to take you into for some of the modules. We are also working towards hedgehog friendly status for the campus. So that's one of our exciting projects for this academic year. And we also have students taking part in the University Mammal Challenge, which is the first time we've taken part in that event this year. So students have to do a number of surveys looking for signs of mammals on the college estate, and then you can earn points if we do any additional activities that are all mammal related. we can earn additional points, and we're hoping that some of our students will be able to kind of push on some of those additional aspects and be in line to hopefully be near the top of the points competing against other universities. We do also have study tours that are available, some within the UK, some overseas. There are additional costs with some of the study tours. So we've have a very successful trip that goes to South Africa, and our degree students are able to go on that. And in fact, this last South Africa trip the trip ran in last academic year, but one of our current third years has used some data from that trip. So her dissertation project is looking at giraffes in the wild in South Africa, which is really great to be able to link that into her studies for this academic year. We also encourage students to get involved with conferences, and some of those are in person, some are virtual conferences. Last year, one of our zoology students came second in an inter-college challenge with her presentation on her dissertation results. So it was really great to see students taking those opportunities to gain that wider experience in their studies. We also bring in a number of guest speakers to provide some expert information, industry links to the courses at the college as well. And then just a little bit of kind of where some of our students have gone to after finishing their studies with us. We have a number of students that have gone on to postgraduate studies, so going on to masters, and for example, masters in applied zoo biology. With some students that have taken their degree and gone into teaching, so teaching biology at school. We also have past students as zoo education officers at some of the local zoos, some students going into zookeepers jobs, some going into biodiversity surveyors. So I've got a student, a recent graduate at the RSPB as well. We've also had students going into vet nursing, and also a number of students going into lecturing, some staying on with us at Moulton to go into lecturing after their degree. Some students set up their own businesses, so for example, dog walking business. And we've also had students going into work with Canal and Rivers Trust, working in pet shops, working as biologists, etc. So there are a really wide range of career paths available to students after graduating from one of our degree programs. I know I've got a slide there of kind of any questions, but the plan is that we will hold those questions for in the breakout rooms where we are in a bit more into smaller groups, etc. And then I do have the HE learning support slides to share with you quickly as well. So we're able to offer support in study skills and disability advice, and support available also includes things like bespoke study skills to improve specific aspects of your study, for example, time management, academic writing skills. Also providing study advice for students with if there's any medical conditions or mental health support, and also support for any other disabilities that a student might have. We also manage the exam access arrangement and what's called academic inclusion reports, which will just identify are there any particular needs, so potentially a 25% extra in time, smaller rooms, read-write software, etc. We are also able to offer dyslexia, dyspraxia and dyscalculia screening in-house, which then we can help to signpost and support students to access further screening in terms of being able to potentially access the disabled student allowance, which provides funding, and some of that funding can also go through to providing specialist software. So for example, readback software, mind mapping software. We have some of those softwares available across all of our college network computers, but also Caroline from our HE Learning Support can also help students access if there's any funding available for them to be able to get those technologies on their own computers as well. So just a little bit more about disabled student allowance, often referred to as the DSA. It's there to support, to cover the study-related costs that you might have because of a mental health problem, a long-term illness, or any other disability. Some of our students have had a range of different support and funded support through the DSA funding. So some of that support can be on its own or in additional to any other student finance that you get as well. So even if your studies are not, you're not paying for your studies through a student loan, you can still access the DSA funding. But it is also available even if you have got a student loan and maintenance loan. If you qualify, you would also be able to apply for DSA funding as well. The type of support and how much you get does depend on individual needs. So the DSA funding looks at what do you need to be able to access higher education. It doesn't look at household income, which the maintenance loan side of student finance does look at household income as well. Whereas the DSA funding is got nothing to do with household income. It's about what are your learning needs and what funding is needed to help you support you on that. If you think that this applies to you, I'd recommend that you have a look at the gov.uk website for disabled student allowance. If you just did a Google search for DSA gov.uk, you would come up with that. But the copies of both slideshows should be in the chat anyway, so you'd be able to download a copy of both PowerPoints if you want to be able to go through the slides at a later date. Some of the types of funding that students have had with disabled student allowance, we have some students that have funded taxis. So if their disabilities or their long-term illness means that they can't drive themselves or can't access public transport, it can cover the cost of a door-to-door taxi to college. It can fund specialist software, so readback software, for example, and it may also fund specialist mentor support as well, which may well be offered through a qualified mentor closer to home. It doesn't necessarily have to be at college as well. In terms of the HE learning support, this final slide just gives Caroline's details. So her email address is caroline.kaplan@moulton.ac.uk. Otherwise, you can also just contact the General's Inquiries email for the college, and they will be able to forward the email on to her. Likewise, if you phone into the main reception and ask for Caroline Kaplan, they will be able to put you through if you wanted to talk to her in advance about anything related to learning support and supporting you on your academic studies.